Apple Watch Ultra users, we seriously need to talk right now, because while Cupertino has been busy handing us recycled watch bands and slightly brighter OLED screens, the entire premium wearable market just got flipped upside down. The blueprints for the upcoming Garmin Fenix 9 Pro just leaked from the absolute deepest corners of the Asian supply chain. And honestly, it makes Apple's top-tier watch look like a complete child's toy. For years, we accepted the Apple tax and that frankly pathetic 36-hour battery life because of the seamless integration with our iPhones. We forgave the iterative updates. We pretended that getting an extra 100 nits of brightness on the Ultra 2 was somehow groundbreaking. But Garmin isn't playing the incremental update game anymore. They just dropped a nuclear bomb on the premium smartwatch industry, and Tim Cook should be terrified. Let's start with the display, because this is where Apple has been failing spectacularly over the last 18 months. If you track Ross Young and his meticulous supply chain analysis, or if you read the recent industry reports coming out of the ELEC, you already know Apple completely scrapped their internal microLED project for the Apple Watch Ultra. They burned billions on research, couldn't get the TSMC manufacturing yields right, and just gave up. Well, Garmin didn't. The Fenix 9 Pro is coming in incredibly hot with a jaw-dropping 4500 nit microLED panel. I honestly didn't believe it when I first saw the leaked spec sheet passing around Twitter from Shrimp Apple Pro. 4500 nits. That is nearly double what the current Apple Watch Ultra 2 pushes out. And it completely embarrasses everything else on the market. You could be standing on the absolute peak of Mount Everest with blinding sun reflecting directly off the snow. And this screen will still punch right through your retinas. But the crazy part isn't even the peak brightness. It is the raw power efficiency. Because microLED doesn't use a traditional backlight and avoids the organic degradation and burn-in risks of OLED, it gives you those infinite deep blacks without eating your battery alive. Which brings us to the craziest part of this leak. Let's talk about what Garmin engineers are internally calling the forever battery. According to fresh intelligence from ET News over in Korea, Garmin is introducing Solar 3.0, backed by a nearly invisible silicon-carbon battery chemistry that changes everything. Under standard smartwatch use, the Fenix 9 Pro is pushing 60 days of battery life on a single charge. Let me repeat that for the Apple Watch user stuck hugging a wall outlet every single night. 60 days. If you spend just 3 hours a day outside, the multi-layer solar harvest array pulls in so much power that you might genuinely never need to plug this thing into a wall again. They are aiming for infinite runtime in expedition mode. Meanwhile, my Apple Watch Ultra barely survives a weekend camping trip if I dare to track a couple of hikes with GPS turned on. It is honestly embarrassing how far ahead Garmin is pulling here. They know their core audience doesn't sit on a couch watching Netflix all day. Are you guys actually okay with charging your watch every single day? Or does a 60-day battery rumor completely change your buying plans? Let me know down in the comments, because I am heavily questioning my daily driver right now. Here is where the Fenix 9 Pro completely destroys the Apple ecosystem lock-in. We have to talk about SatLink 360. Mark Gurman has spent years hyping up Apple's emergency SOS via satellite, and look, it's cool. It saves lives, but it is heavily restricted and purely for extreme emergencies. Garmin is bypassing the cellular carriers entirely and integrating full two-way satellite messaging directly into the watch chassis. No iPhone required. No separate heavy Garmin InReach device needed. If you are deep in a canyon with absolutely zero cell service, you can just text your friends, receive messages back, or trigger a global SOS straight from your wrist. DG Times recently hinted that satellite miniaturization components were accelerating through the supply chain. But nobody thought Garmin would cram it into a wearable chassis this fast. You are never truly off the grid unless you choose to be. Let's flip the watch over and look at the new Elevate Gen 6 sensor stack, because this is pure medical wizardry. Apple is currently stuck in endless patent hell with Masimo over basic blood oxygen tracking. They are literally disabling hardware features via software updates, just to legally sell watches in the United States. It is a massive mess. Garmin is out here lapping them entirely by moving straight into clinical territory. Supply chain whispers indicate the Fenix 9 Pro features non-invasive continuous blood pressure trend tracking. No cuff needed. But the real game changer is the real-time hydration monitoring. Using multi-wavelength optical sensors, this watch measures fluid levels in your interstitial tissue. It literally tells you to drink water before your brain even registers that you are actually thirsty. Combine that with their new AI neural training architect, and this watch is processing your sweat loss, your sleep quality, and your heart rate variability to dynamically adjust your training load on the fly. It is a high-performance medical coach bolted directly to your wrist. Mechanically, it is exactly what you expect from a premium Garmin, but pushed to the absolute extreme. We are looking at a grade 5 titanium unibody featuring a carbon onyx coating that is basically immune to scratches. We all know how easily the titanium on the Apple Watch Ultra gets dinged up if you lightly brush it against a rock. Garmin is fixing that durability gap, and they are also bringing a 120Hz Apex UI to the table. Historically, Garmin maps felt a bit laggy and choppy compared to Apple's buttery smooth watchOS animations. Those days are officially dead. The new custom silicon inside this watch handles high-resolution topographic maps with zero frame drops. You can pan and zoom exactly like you would on a flagship smartphone. Now we have to address the giant elephant in the room: the price. Deep supply chain analysis from Ming-Chi, corroborated by recent reports out of Mac suggests that premium tech costs serious premium money. The Fenix 9 Pro is slated to launch at a staggering $1,999 in the US market. Yes, that is $2,000 for a smartwatch. I know that sounds insane upfront, but you have to break down what you are actually buying here. It replaces your high-end smartwatch. It replaces your standalone satellite communicator. It acts as a professional medical fitness tracker. When you strip away the Apple tax and look at the raw unmatched utility, the value proposition actually starts making sense for hardcore athletes and outdoor enthusiasts. The launch is currently pinned for late 2026, but early production samples are already leaking out of factories. This isn't just another tech rumor floating around Reddit. This is a massive shift in wearable dominance. Garmin is taking all the pain points of modern smartwatches, the terrible battery life, the fragile screens, the complete reliance on smartphones, and just eliminating them entirely. I honestly don't know how Cupertino responds to a threat this massive. They can't just slap a new dark color on the Ultra 3 and call it a day anymore. The competition is officially on notice, and I cannot wait to see how Apple tries to defend their throne.